When you or your loved one is injured in a car or slip and fall accident, one of the most important decisions you're going to make is the lawyer that you hire. At Alam Law, we take pride in the fact that every person who calls for a free consultation speaks to one of our personal lawyers, not just a legal assistant or agent. Call Alam Law at 416-625-2636 for a free consultation. And remember, you do not pay anything unless I win your case.
Hi viewers, today I'm delighted to tag you a very dynamic personality and a legendary politician. She is a member of parliament from Simcoe Grey riding. Her political career is associated with Conservative Party of Canada. She was Minister of Labour and Minister for the Status of Women in previous Conservative government. She also serves as a surgeon, business administrator and a social activist. Welcome to my show.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Kellie, you have such a dynamic and diverse background where you have contributed so much to this country. So how do you manage this kind of dynamism with your personality? You must be very extraordinary in that.
Well, I get told more often than not that I'm a little too serious. And so I used to spend most of my time as a surgeon, and I still practice medicine now at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. And when I was there all the time, I just dealt with two people, both of which were asleep, the patient and the anesthetist. And now I get to talk to people like you. It's much more dynamic and exciting. But I'm very fortunate. I have an amazing family, and I have a wealth of friends and colleagues that are very supportive, that allow me to be able to still practice medicine as well as be a parliamentarian. So I'm very privileged and lucky.
I see through your passage of time and your path which step by step leads you towards where you are right now. So as a surgeon, so you have international contribution. So what are your findings about the health issues we are facing and the way governments handle them?
Well, you know, my role now is as the health critic. And this, I think, is something, health issues are very close to the heart of Canadians. In fact, if you go out and speak to many Canadians, they view health care and our approach to health in this country as a right, as a value that they hold dear. And I'm very fortunate that I've been able to take my experience as a physician, as a surgeon, and apply that to good public policy. And the main reason that I ran for office the very first time was actually in 2006, I had been asked to develop all the rules, legislation around the Children's Fitness Tax Credit. I chaired the expert panel. And it allowed me to see how my education as a doctor could be applied to good public policy. And then as a cabinet minister, I was given that good fortune again, whether it was for critical illness for children or supporting interns in the workplace, doing things that I think young Canadians in particular benefit from. So I've had the best of both worlds, having one world inform the other. And for myself, I think the health issues and what I can bring to the table as a surgeon can be quite powerful in the development of public policy.
So I can see that during the Conservatives' time, we had a lot of, especially in the end of the Conservative term, that a lot of issues are still carried by that. And in future, there are so many issues which need to be taken care of. How you see Conservative Party in future taking the steps towards that?
Well, our party and our government was very focused on the economy. And we know when you as a mom or your friends as moms and dads have more of their hard-earned money in their own pockets, you can make good choices for your family. And so we had been focused on making sure we reduced taxes, so the GST being lowered by 2%. And we had been focused on making sure that families had more money through the numerous mechanisms back in their pockets so they could take care of their families. you as a mom, or I'm not sure if you are a mom, but I'm assuming you are a mom.
I am a mom.
You as a mom, or many of your friends as parents, you know how best to raise your children. You know what your family needs. You know whether or not it's better to pay down your mortgage, or maybe your son or daughter needs a new hockey stick. And so those are the things we focused on, lowering the burden on you so that you could make good choices for your family and the choices you wanted to make for your family. And we'll continue to be focused on those items.
So how would you, from health to labor, being the labor minister and being the women
Minister of Status of Women?
The status of women. So what were the reasons for from here to here?
Well, I didn't get to pick where I ended up. The Prime Minister chooses his cabinet, just as the current Prime Minister has chosen his cabinet. But for me, there were two really substantive crossovers. At Labour Canada, we focus on the health and safety of workers across the country. And a primary focus for myself was making sure that young workers were safer in the workplace. The largest number of individuals that are injured in a workplace are actually young men. And so working with my provincial counterparts across the country, putting forward ideas, but also legislation and initiatives to make sure we lowered the number of young Canadians, but particularly young men that were getting injured in the workplace. As I said to many people, the fewer people that come off a work site, or the fewer younger people that come to my emergency department, the better. I'd like to be put out of business in that area of orthopedics. We don't want to see any more injuries on a workplace. And at Status of Women, look, there are a lot of roles that I think women should be taking on in Canadian society, and they're increasingly doing that. But if I can be a role model, whether it's as a surgeon or as a parliamentarian, quite frankly, as an orthopedic surgeon, I'm sort of a cross between a carpenter and an electrician. If we can get more young women into skilled trades or applying in the sciences, becoming physicians, I think that that's just great for the country.
Women issue has throughout the history been a very big issue, and Canada has reached to the point where we have struggled a lot and we have reached to certain conclusions. So where do you see the legacy you left or you are carrying? How would you comment about the Liberals taking it?
Well, I'm not sure what the new minister will do. What I can say is the things that I focused on as a Minister of Status of Women, I will continue to focus on. And so one of the things I'm most proud about is our action plan we put in place for women entrepreneurs. We're very fortunate in this country. Many women are starting businesses. And we know those businesses are growing rapidly, they're hiring more people, and they're generating huge wealth in the country. In fact, in 2012, women-led businesses generated over $149 billion of economic wealth in this country. That's driving the economy. Our government invested in those women, and that legacy, I think, will live on. And I think that's fabulous for providing economic empowerment to women, but also helps strengthen the country's economy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that women have a lot of big roles to play.
Absolutely.
They have to be dynamic in their need for society and their families. So from there, we will ask you another question that we are looking forward to see leadership in you, and we are so much towards you. So what's your take on that?
Well, the party right now, the Conservative Party, hasn't set out the rules or direction that we're taking yet. I am considering running in the leadership, but I need to see exactly what the rules are and when this begins. But I will continue. I have been a member of the Conservative Party for over 30 years. I feel passionately about the party, but more passionately about our country and making sure that we have strong leadership to govern it. And so I'm looking forward to hearing about what the rules will be and then make a decision once I know what those are.
We are looking forward for that, and our well wishes with you. And being a woman, I am full supporter of yours. Wherever, whatever we can get, we should do, and people like you should definitely come forward.
Thank
so
you.
from here, we will come to another very hot thing that TAG TV, our TV is a multicultural TV, and Canada is a leading role of multiculturalism for around the world for all the people. So what benefits are you going to bring in your party, and how do you see multiculturalism entering into the system, and what is your vision regarding that?
Well, look, I believe we are so blessed in this country where we have such great diversity and everyone can actually achieve the goals they want to achieve. And for myself, making sure that the Conservative Party, but quite frankly that our country enriches and grows that level of diversity, only helps the Conservative movement, but more importantly is exceptionally important to the country. You know, there are a wealth of talents around the globe. And if those individuals who may have been born in another nation feel that Canada represents them and has the values they esteem and they can be prosperous, I want them to know that this is the country that will accept them and allow them to be overwhelmingly prosperous in the years to come. And that requires someone being positive, forward-looking, and welcoming. And just as my great-grandparents were welcomed into this country in the late 1800s, I hope that individuals from countries around the globe feel that direction in entering Canada. They only bring great talents and great opportunities to this country. And I'm hopeful that we can continue to welcome as many individuals as possible so we can grow the country.
With this dimension, I would like to have a last question with you. With the changing global situation, where do you see Canada? Because Canada has always been to the leading role, especially if we see last 10 years with Harper government. We were everywhere very dominantly into the leading role where people used to look forward. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think Canada needs to continue to play that leadership role, whether it was with our banking system during the economic crisis and the financial leadership we put forward, or the leadership that our former Prime Minister and our government showed in making sure that we supported our international allies and what's happening right now in Syria and otherwise. I think that Canada must play a leadership role. And we had done that over the last number of decades. For our government, whether it be becoming more global with free trade agreements and growing our economy, making sure that we were a rock in the global economy so that others could learn and benefit from that, or what we do going forward as a nation, I'm hopeful we will continue to play that leadership role, and I'm hopeful that our Conservative movement will play a leadership role in that movement.
I thank you for taking out your time and having such a fruitful discussion with us and telling our viewers about Conservatives' ideas and how their contribution is. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
#1 multicultural channel. This is TAG TV.